Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I am sitting on a yoga mat. If you don't have one, just find a place in your house that might have carpeting or a rug that's solid, not one that's going to surf out from underneath you. I prefer that to hardwood or something that's too hard or slippery. I've got 2 yoga blocks. A very simple way to substitute for that would be 2 thick books. And I have a folded blanket here on my couch that I could use underneath my knees, or sometimes it's nice to fold up our blankets to elevate our hips for some of the seated poses we do. So you might have something like that ready to go just in case as well. I've also got a dog that's a little bit afraid of the wind and it's a bit windy outside. So maybe this is going to end up being a prop for us as well. We'll pause and start in a child's pose, and let's figure out what child's pose means for you, because I'm seated on my heels, but for a lot of us, that much bend in our knees is not really where we want to go with it. So knees can go as wide as you'd like. Toes touch behind you, but maybe not. And if sinking hips to heels works for you and you can reach your arms forward from there, then that's what you'll do. If it doesn't work, walk yourself a little bit forward. Let your butt be to the sky a bit. You can have your elbows bent on the ground, and this might work. Perhaps you even put a block or a book underneath your forehead. But a place that feels like you're kind of snuggling up with yourself, a place where we can turn the arrows of attention inward as opposed to distractedly outward. And let's pause to stop so that we can start. You're okay. While we're here curled up with ourselves, bring some attention to your breath. Notice every inhale and every exhale. See if you can challenge yourself to be present to that experience instead of wandering in your mind back into the past or wandering in your mind into the future. So we fully inhabit this moment. 3 more moments here. Now we'll come to all fours, and for a moment, really be aware of shoulders over wrists and that we're not collapsed in between our shoulder blades. This will come in handy when we do things like our planks. So actively push the ground away, and you're using trunk stability, you're finding core work as you do that, and you're taking it out of collapsed into joints and into musculature, and we want that. We'll keep that activity in our upper body and just move our hips a little bit. So let your tailbone lift towards the sky. Like there's a hook in your tailbone. This also will be something I reference when we do our down dogs. And then just imagine that you are tippy and afraid of the wind, and you've got your tail between your legs, and you'll tuck your hips. And then we get that hook in our tailbone and extend our tailbone to the sky. We're oomping into our arms the whole time. And then we're the scared dog in the wind, tail between our legs. We tuck our hips. Back and forth we go a couple more times here. Now, pause when you're neutral. That just means that you're not tucking your tailbone and you're not finding the hook in your tailbone. And you might want padding underneath your knees. You might want to curl your toes under here. We'll take our right arm up and swoop that right arm for a twist underneath us. You're coming to the outside of your head on the right side and your right shoulder. Maybe you prefer your head on a block or on a book. And once you're situated there, come onto your left fingertips and let that just guide you into a thoughtful twist and into that shoulder blade area. And we'll pause here. Slowly unravel. Come on to all fours. Make sure that we've got that shoulders over wrists happening. This time our left arm is the swooper It goes underneath. We aim to the outside of our head on the left side and our left shoulder. Some of us will add a block to the mix. And then once you're situated, right fingertips might give you a little bit more navigation capability into the shoulder blade area of your spine, and we pause. Then unravel. Come to all fours. Just come kneeling for a moment. Take the backs of your hands together and press. So we will be on our wrists. We have been on our wrists a little bit, and this is something that you can have as a trick up your sleeve if your wrists need a little bit of an opposite from, this is called hip extension, this is wrist flexion. You can shake them out too. Then come to all fours once again. Shoulders over wrists, we're spreading our hands wide, and we've got that oomph, not collapse, but oomph. And we will step our left leg behind us like a plank flirt, because we are in fact plank flirting with a plank. I want us to keep the oomph and add a little bit more awareness of a lift to our low belly. And then just put your right knee down and do the same flirt with your left leg. And notice when you step back, can you keep an evenness in your hands? If you're honest about it, that's actually pretty challenging. Now let's put that left knee down, and we will step one leg and then the other, I don't care which one you do, but into a full plank, just for a moment. Then bring both knees down and shimmy those knees back just a little bit so it's not like the hands and knees we were just doing, but shoulders are over wrists. So that can be a little challenging place to find yourself. Let's pretend that we're doing our scared dog and then sassafras, hips to the sky, but let's find the hook in our hips and come to down dog. Push the ground away actively, right out of the gate. Curl your toes under, lift your hips up and back. Let's step our feet as wide as our mat. Bend our knees deeply and be on the balls of our feet. Activate pushing into our arms more. Lift our hips even more so the hook in our tailbone, the sassafras I just said, gets even more. And now carefully walk forward, feet to your hands, and let your feet be at the front edge of your mat, hip distance and parallel. Take your hands to your ankles, maybe to your shins, maybe even ride those hands up to your thighs. Let's inhale and grow tall. So wherever your hands are, your heart lifts. Then we'll exhale and hinge and fold, and your hands might slide down, but we want to avoid rounding a whole lot in our spine. Then firming your belly, inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Stand with your arms along your side, but feel your arms turn away from each other at the shoulder joint. And there's an uplift to our heart. Our chins are parallel to the ground. This is our mountain pose. It is the foundational pose to really all the poses we do in this practice. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or your shins or your ankles. Inhale, slide your hands up and uplift your heart. And now bend your knees as deeply as you need to get your palms flat on the ground. We're going to build that down dog from here. So push the ground away right away. Walk yourself back. You can widen your stance. Come on the balls of your feet and lift the hook in your tailbone. You push the ground away the extent to which you feel like you just grew a few inches in your spine. And then we'll shift shoulders over wrists. Remember that plank that we were practicing? We're not collapsed. We're pushing the ground away. Knees down like a kickstand, and our knees stay curled under right now. Keep the push of the ground away and lower to your belly as slowly as you can. There's quite a bit of work in that, wouldn't you say? Uncurl your toes. Bring your forearms parallel to the long edges of your mat for a Sphinx pose. Let's build it pressing the tops of our feet and letting our kneecaps lift so our legs are activated. Imagine that you're trying to tuck that tail between your legs so you just got scared of the wind again, and then drag your elbows towards you and let your heart move through the gateway of your arms. As you do that, don't misinterpret that as throw your chin forward. Chin stays parallel to the ground. We'll lower down and relocate our hands next to our ribs. Elbows are not going to flop out to the side. They're going to try to stay close to us. Activate your legs. Imagine tucking your scared tail between your legs, and then traction your hands this time. Watch out for the thrust of the chin. We don't want to avoid that. And it's cobra. This will be an option, or Sphinx will be an option when we flow our sun salutation. Now lower down, keep your hands where they are and curl your toes under. This is core work. In one piece, we come to all fours. From all fours, we find the sassafras. Lift your hips up, push the ground away right away, down dog. Walk your feet to your hands. We end up at the front edge of our mat, feet hip distance and parallel. Slide your hands up wherever you like. Inhale. Slide your hands back down. Exhale. And then we rise, reach. Inhale. Arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky. And we pause in our mountain with our palms facing out. Let's flow. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Inhale, glide your hands up, bend your knees deeply, palms go flat. We step back to our down dog with the hook in our tailbone. We'll shift it forward, shoulders over wrists. Push the ground away and bring your knees down. Firm your belly as slow as you can go, all the way down to the earth. Uncurl your toes, either Sphinx pose or Cobra pose. Lower it back down, curl your knees under, or your toes under, hands and knees in one chunk. And then the hook in our tailbone takes us to down dog. Walk forward, feet come to your hands, feet are hip distance and parallel. Glide your hands up, inhale, lift your heart. Slide your hands down, exhale, we fold. And then we inhale, rise, reach, thumbs to the sky. Arms along our sides, palms face out. One more time, just like that. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale, bend your knees deeply. Palms are flat. We push the ground away, find the hook in our tailbone, and step to down dog. Shift it to plank, shoulders aimed right over wrists. Push the ground away, lower your knees, and then lower your belly. Keep pushing the ground away. Uncurl your toes, Cobra or Sphinx pose. Lower down, curl your toes under. We come to all fours. And then the hook in our tailbone takes us into down dog. Once we're in down dog, stay here just for a moment. Bend your knees a little bit more deeply. Find your sense of humor. I highly recommend for this. And see if you can't take your right hand to the outside of your left thigh, maybe shin, and twist a little bit here. And then place that right hand down and give it a shot on the second side. Left hand reaches for something outside of thigh, shin, and then we'll place that left hand down, walk our feet forward to our hands, feet are hip distance, glide your hands up, inhale, slide them down as we exhale. We rise, reach, inhale, arms to the sky, and then we stand in our mountain. Locating our props, take your two tall blocks or books and place them on either long edge of your mat. So you're currently located facing the short front edge of your mat. We'll assume that position of feet hip distance and parallel. We'll flow again and add some friends. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, V. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs or shins or ankles. Glide your hands up and inhale. Take your palms flat, step it to down dog. And once you're in down dog, lift your right leg back behind you. Step that right foot forward. For many of us, it's going to take a little help. No shame in that. Take your two blocks, frame that right foot, and then heel toe your right foot over to the right. Let's pause and land where we are. It becomes very tempting when twists and turns happen on our mat to let our right hip swing out, to get carried away with the twist. Just like it could get very tempting in life to get carried away by life's twists and turns. Let's stay solid. Left hand on our block, right arm up to the sky, and we twist, but within reason. And we twist from our waist and from that shoulder blade area as opposed to swinging the whole thing out to the side. Let's sit in this twist and breathe for 3, moments. Unwind. Move your blocks so that you can plant your hands and push the ground away for down dog. Stay in down dog or bring your knees to your mat like the child's pose that we started in, or join me here coming to plank, shoulders over wrists. Knees down, we push the ground away very actively, and then we lower to our belly. Uncurl your toes for a cobra pose, or maybe it's Sphinx. Then lower down and recurl the toes under in one chunk. We come to all fours. And then whether you're in child's pose or we're in down dog, we all go to down dog. The hook in our tailbone takes us up and back. Lift your left leg behind you. Step it through and be willing to help it along if that's something that is of assistance. Take your 2 blocks and heel toe that left foot to the left, and let's land in this shape. Again, we don't get carried away with our left hip out to the side. We try to find our footing. We need our footing on and off our mat, especially when twists and turns occur. Right hand stays down. Left arm floats up, and we twist from our waist. And we know where we are even as things take a little bit of a plot twist. We stay and breathe for 3 moments. Unwind your hand to your block. Scoot the blocks off your mat so that you have access to step to down dog. Push the ground away right away. And then let's walk forward, feet to our hands. Feet are hip distance and parallel. Glide your hands up, inhale. Slide your hands down, exhale. We'll rise, reach, arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky, and then we stand in our mountain with our palms facing out. Inhale, V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to thighs, shins, or ankles. Glide your hands up, inhale, and then palms flat. We step to down dog. From our down dog, lift your right leg behind you. Step it forward like we did before. Feel free to help it along. Trot your 2 blocks into the mix, and this time, back foot, left foot flat. Heel toe your right foot to the right, and then keeping a long spine and a hinge in your hip, begin to straighten that right leg. For many of us, it's not going to straighten all the way out. That's fine. What I'm not interested in is slamming it straight and rounding. So find a place where it can have space. If you get feedback, like a stretch in the back of your right leg, and you can feel that your spine is long, you have arrived. Let's know where we are, not get carried away with our right hip swinging out to the side as our left hand stays on our block and our right arm floats up to the sky in a mindful plot twist. A few moments here. Unwind, bend your right knee and spin on your back toes. Get your blocks off your mat and out of the way. Palms go flat for down dog. Same thing here. Feel free to stay in down dog, bring your knees to your mat for a rest, or join me, shifting shoulders over wrists. We push the ground away. Knees come down and we go all the way to our bellies, but we keep pushing the ground away as we go. Uncurl your toes for cobra or Sphinx pose. Lower back down. Curl your toes and come to all fours in one chunk. Let the hook in your tailbone take you to down dog. Once you're in down dog, left leg lifts behind us and we step it through and help it along and land in our lunge initially. Then we navigate with our hands tall on our blocks, back foot flat. Left foot steps to the left a little bit. And as we straighten, we're in no rush. We're not slamming anything. We're trying not to round a lot. And we simply soak in this shape for a few moments. Right hand stays on your block. Left arm floats up to the sky. We try not to get carried away with our left hip out to the side. We know where we are. We know who we are. we just go with the flow for a moment. Unwind, bring your left hand onto your blocks, spin on your right toes. Scoot the blocks out of your way so that your palms can go flat for your down dog. And then from down dog, bring your knees to your mat. Give yourself that backs of the hands moment as you come up kneeling. Situate yourself in a seat. So place your hips on the ground, scoot your legs around, and extend your legs straight out in front of you. Flex both sets of toes back towards you. This could be a very good time to steal the throw blanket from your couch or put your beach towel underneath your hips. If you notice that when you try to sit, things are rounded, two secrets. One is keep your knees bent a bit. The other is elevate your hips. And then from here, bend your right knee, stamp that right foot onto the ground, and curl your left toes towards you a little bit more. Right hand behind us, left arm is going to hug our right knee and right shin, and that gives us leverage to come up tall as we inhale, and then a little investigation of a twist as we exhale. If you love it, you can take your left elbow outside your right thigh. Honestly, I've been loving just hugging my right thigh. Let's make sure that we've got a curl back of our left toes, and we'll stay here in this pose for a few moments. Unravel. Let that right leg straighten. Bend your left knee. Stamp that left foot onto the ground. A little space between your straight right leg and your bent left knee. Our right toes are curled back towards us. We'll take our left hand back behind us and then just hug with your right elbow onto that left knee, or if you want to, right elbow outside of your left thigh, and we twist here. Inhaling tall and exhaling and twisting. Now we unwind this side and slither our left leg straight. Then lie down on your back. And once you're lying down on your back, scoot your hips to the right and keep your feet this wide apart. Just let your legs fall over to the left. So you're on the outside of your left foot, inside of your right foot. It's like you just toppled over, but there's space between those two legs and feet. Take your left ankle on top of your right thigh here. And if that feels like it's too much on your right knee, don't do that. You can leave that part out, but we're taking a twist, and I want your right arm overhead. And there, to me, is the juiciest stretch on the right side of my body. I hope that's true for you too. Let's stay here a few moments. If it's possible, keep your left ankle on top of your right thigh, and then just put your right foot flat on the ground. And it becomes, you might scoot your hips so that you're straight down the middle. This becomes a reclining pigeon, and this might be enough, just like this. Or reach your left hand through the space and hold on to your right shin or onto your right hamstring. Sometimes that folded blanket or block under your head is helpful if you can't get your head onto the ground. I don't want this to be a struggle, but it is, in fact, a stretch. Let's stay here for a few moments. Now just carefully release the interlace, place both feet hip distance. Pause a moment. Both of your knees now will fall over towards the right, and you will pick up your right foot and place that on top of your left thigh, as long as your left knee is fine with that. Left arm reaches on the ground overhead, and we luxuriate in our stretch on this side now. Only if it's possible, and be thoughtful of your right knee. Keep your right ankle on top of your thigh and just place your left foot flat on the ground. And then maybe you have enough of a stretch here, or right hand reaches through the space and you hold on to left shin, left hamstring, and we pause. Remember, folded blanket or block under your head might be a useful tool as well. And now gently undo the interlace, place both feet on your mat, shimmy your shoulder blades underneath. It could be as simple as walking your feet wide, letting your knees fall in on each other, a little lift of your tailbone to create space. Stay here or straighten both legs. And it's our Shavasana final meditation. You're welcome to stay here in your Shavasana final meditation. If you're ready, wiggle fingers and toes, give yourself a stretch, collect your knees into your chest and roll to either side. Go slowly, come up to any comfortable seat. And once you're seated, place your hands on your heart. Let's take a moment. Grateful that we're healthy enough to do this practice, that we have the opportunity to do this practice together. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I look forward to us doing it again together soon.